Welcome, the doc here. Cosmos is driving, keeping an eye on the monitor. We're flying the underwater drones, checking out the stormwater drains. KIRO 7 recently did a report on just that.
Rainwater is, for the most part, pure, natural. So how is it that a tiny drop of crystal clear water can turn into one of the nastiest things you've ever seen? Well, tonight, KIRO 7's Chris Eggert continues his in-depth series of reporting on our Puget Sound in peril under a popular Seattle restaurant where something is bubbling up that few people have ever seen.
It's our backyard, Puget Sound, a big, beautiful backdrop for all of Western Washington. Many of us get to see this view every day, and it is truly breathtaking. But there's another view you should see, equally breathtaking, but in a bad way. The ugly brown water you see pouring out of this pipe isn't toxic waste, it's water, rainwater, dumped into the sound after just an average weather event. This particular stormwater outflow just happens to be a few feet under the window of one of Seattle's most picturesque spots, Salty's on Alki Beach.
It is a river, a pipeline this big around, spewing forth a brown, noxious soup of nastiness. It is unbelievable. It is dramatic, and it's somewhat scary when you come up on it and it's in full roar.
Mike Racine heads up a network of volunteer divers called the Washington Scuba Alliance. He sees what many of us never get the chance to see, the bottom of Puget Sound. And he says it is not a pretty picture. Racine says to really understand what's happening in the Sound, one needs to look topside at everyday things like watering the bushes or washing the car. Think of one tiny droplet of water as it trickles down the landscaping, perhaps picking up pesticides, then hitting the asphalt where it picks up oil and gas before it creeps over the edge of the storm drain and then plops into the stormwater pipe where it will drain straight into Puget Sound. Now, multiply that one dirty little drop of water by 1 million, by 1 billion.
I think we're just beginning to realize how much our daily living impacts things, including the Sound.
Ginny Arvison may be watering now, but that's only because her condo complex just planted these shrubs and trees a few days ago. And they picked these native species so they'd never have to water them again. Theirs is a perfect example of ways that the average Joe can cut down on stormwater runoff. Chopper 7 takes you high above an unintended consequence of the runoff, algae blooms. The blooms do happen naturally, but the Washington Department of Ecology is also studying what effect that we are having on the development of these blooms. Ecologists believe that fertilizers draining into the Sound make these blooms happen more often and make them more potent. Those same fertilizers are also believed to have an effect on the many species of fish swimming in the Sound. Although most people, like recreational fisherman Norm Santorin, don't necessarily consider that big of a problem.
We've heard that if you eat a little too much of something, you might catch something, but if you just limit it.
But as our 6-month-long investigation found, there are indeed problems in Puget Sound. We take our cameras diving deep into places most have never seen. In our next story, the aftermath of hundreds of years of fishing. Gill nets, once used to catch fish, are now catching everything else. I'm Chris Eggert, KIRO 7 Eyewitness News.